Hello, everyone. Welcome to Kiki and Kibitz. It's me, Mary, and I'm here tonight with TLC Virgins, Season 1, Episode 4, Third Base. If I was going to give this episode a grade, I would give it a C. And honestly, you guys, I'm starting to feel like this is scripted bullshit. I will explain why. Let's hop right into this. So, when we last saw Rasha last week, she was exploring her freaky side. She decided not to go out on a second date with the dude that she had her first date with because he was kind of rude about going to the selfie room. So, Rasha is getting ready to go out to the selfie room with a new dude that she met on her dating app. Okay. And when Jeremy first walks into the selfie room, Rasha's like, okay, he's cute. I would have kind of preferred, someone more manly looking. He's a little bit shorter than her. Rasha didn't know about the height difference before, but she's like, he's cute. So while they're exploring the selfie room, um, Jeremy discloses conveniently that he has been part of the BDSM lifestyle for 15 years. He's like, doesn't this kind of remind you of a BDSM, you know, room environment type thing? And I'm looking around at the selfie room and I'm thinking to myself, no, not really. So isn't it kind of convenient how Rasha explored her freaky side, y'all. Last week, when she went to that BDSM workshop thingy, she was flogged with a flogger and she was tied up like I don't know what and hung from the ceiling, and she loved every minute of it. So it's really convenient that this week her second date is some dude that has been into the lifestyle for 15 years. Okay. Rasha claims that there was no signs beforehand, nothing on his profile that would indicate that he's in this lifestyle. Okay. Hand to God, her words, not mine. But then she tells him that she's a virgin, and he's like, that's okay. As much as I like sex, sex is not a priority for me. So you would think, okay, cool. This may be the dude for Rasha. Okay, he might have just fallen on her lap. He, is into the same freaky stuff that she's into, and he's understanding that she's a virgin. Okay, so Rasha may be into the BDSM lifestyle, but she doesn't know what it means. Okay. So this is actually what it means, Rasha, FYI. So moving on, Jeremy cooks a nice dinner for her. Okay. And this is the first time a man has ever invited her over to cook dinner. And things started getting really flirtatious at the dinner table. Rasha mentioned liking his meat. And before you know it, he's talking about making her other set of cheeks red. Okay. She is laughing and blushing. And she's like, oh my goodness. And I'm watching this going, you know something? This may be the dude that she winds up with. Go Rasha. Okay. Your second date winds up, being your soulmate. Hey, you never know. So they play around with some of his toys. Okay. He made those cheeks red. She was like, ow, that hurt. I want to experience some pain, but I don't want to rip the skin off my booty. So, he made those cheeks red, but she doesn't feel a sexual attraction to him. Okay. She's like, I'm not sexually attracted. This was a fun experience. I could take what I learned from this experience into a future experience, but I'm just not sexually attracted. And that's when I just looked at my TV and sighed a big sigh and said, okay, am I watching scripted reality TV again? Like, okay, so we shall see next week. Maybe she'll find another dude that'll fall on her lap. That'll be everything that she wants. Okay. Now, Alex, I feel really bad for him. He invited Andrea over to his house. Okay, so he's like running around trying to get things all cleaned up, but his calendar is still up there. So Andrea comes over. She's like, "Oh, this house is so cute. You have family pictures all over the place. I could see that family means a lot to you." At this point, she has no idea that she's in his parents' home. Okay. He begged his parents to leave. They go upstairs to his room. She sees the calendar. She starts cracking up. The calendar has been stuck on the wrong month for months. Okay. So she's like, "Oh, I see you have a type that you like brunette girls." She gets a good laugh out of it. So she's sitting on his bed, and Alex is like, "Having a woman in my room feels surreal enough, but having one sitting on my bed is even more surreal to me." So he basically comes clean and tells her that this is his childhood home and he is living with his parents. And she just kind of looks at him like, okay. Then he blurts out basically that, he hasn't had much dating experience and he hasn't had much experience in general. And Andrea's totally confused. So she's like, "What do you mean?" And he finally comes, out and says that he's a virgin. And she was so compassionate. She gave him a hug. She confessed in her little confessional that she was a little late when she started to have sex, and she remembers being a virgin and trying to navigate the world. So she feels real compassion for him. So once again, I was hopeful, okay? Even though she rejected his kiss, he tried to go in for a kiss, and she was like, "No, no, hold up, wait a second." I was hopeful that these two, may have found a spark. Alex may have found the one that he could finally lose his virginity to. Nope, I was wrong. So Alex was a little nervous because, you know, excuse me, he came clean to Andrea, living at home, being a virgin. Andrea rejected his kiss. So he was kind of nervous. So they talked on video call. It's been a couple of days, and she tells him that she is going to be traveling for business for the next month and a half, and that she thinks that they'll be better off as friends. She wants to stay in touch with him as a friend. And listening to her tell him all this and then seeing his reaction, all I kept thinking was she couldn't have told him this before. Even at the moment when she rejected his kiss, okay, maybe she could have said, "Listen, Alex, I really like you. I really want to see you again, but I'm going to be traveling for business. I'm going to be really busy. So, let's remain friends for now." She kind of got his hopes up and friend zoned him. So I felt bad for him, but then I'm like, is this all part of the script? So then we have Deianne, who I have said since episode one, I feel like this is scripted bullshit. Okay. Because she is way too picky and her expectations are out of the water. Like they cannot be met. Okay, they are unreasonable expectations. So Deanne goes to this icebreaker speed dating thing where basically you put yourself in an ice bath with the person that you're speed dating with, and you each ask a question, and then you could go sit in the sauna if you like. So this is the place that she was at. It's called Ice Pass in Los Angeles. So she's standing around looking at everybody, looking at all the dudes in the room. And, she sees the dude that she's attracted to, but she won't approach him. Okay. Because that's just not her style. So thankfully he approached her. They got into the ice bath. They asked each other their question. They ran to the sauna. And it turns out that Deanne actually wants a second date with this dude. She usually rejects them after the first date because her expectations are unreasonable. But this dude looks really good with his shirt off. And Deianne's like, I think I may give him a second date. So we shall see. And finally, we have Somali. Sonali, she is stepping out of her comfort zone. Okay, let's just put it that way. So Sonali has went from a pelvic floor specialist, okay, because not only is it physically uncomfortable, down there for her, so she has these dilators that are in her to try to expand and relax her pelvic muscles. Then that specialist referred her to her sex specialist, and her sex therapist is referring her to a sex surrogate. Okay. Have you guys stayed with me? Because I get lost sometimes. So this sex surrogate is way out of Sonali's comfort zone. I mean, way out of her comfort zone. So she meets him first at her sex therapist's office, and his name is Wayne Lassane. Okay. And I looked him up, and this is his site. He offers services, one on one coaching, group coaching, shades events, and consulting and bookings. Okay. So, what to expect at a shades event? Transformative, non monogamous centered. Shakes events are free and I'm sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. Let me pull this up on my iPad. I can barely see. Shades events are freedom paid opportunities for community connection, self expression, meeting and relating with others of diverse backgrounds and identities, diverse relationships dynamics, relating to others' experiences, sexy energy, and just a good time. Dynamic experiences. Shades events aim for broad, diverse experiences, including virtual, in person, educational opportunity, supportive groups, experimental workshops and classes, exploratory, interactive events, and sexy fun. Community collaboration. You are the expert of you and your relationships. Shades thrives off your participation and welcomes your feedback, contri- contributions, and even collaboration. Shades wants to create what you desire and need, even in just a fun night out. Interesting. So, Sonali and Wayne are at a crossroads, okay? She's getting more comfortable with inviting him over to her home. She's never had a man in her home, okay? So he comes over and they have these, debates, as she calls them. Well, this debate that they were having in this episode was about Sonali exploring herself. And she's like, if I hear masturbation one more time, I'm going to scream. She is very uncomfortable. You can see anytime either her sex therapist or this Wayne dude mentions masturbation, exploring yourself, touching yourself, she is so uncomfortable. She's like, look, I'm touching myself. Can we stop talking about this now? Like, please. You don't understand. Not only is it a cultural thing, it's a personal thing. Like, please, let's just stop talking about it. And Wayne is trying to make her understand that she will never get over the hump of having intimacy with another person unless she realizes for herself what, makes her feel good. So Nolly's not hearing any of it. She is like, please, just stop it. And she's like, okay, okay. At one point, she's just like, okay, whatever you say, Jude, whatever you say. And Wayne just keeps pushing it and pushing it. And she gets sick of it and she gets up and she walks out of the room. So that was basically this week's episode. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm starting to feel like this is scripted bullshit. I mean, how convenient. Rasha's second date is some dude that's into BDSM, but then it turns out she's not sexually attracted to him. Andrea really could have given Alex the heads up about her business trip. And Sonali, mm, Deianne, you guys know how I feel about Deianne. So that is basically it. Thank you so much for watching me. Please subscribe if you don't already. Hit the like button, share my video with a friend or 10, and please consider joining my membership. Thank you so much and have a wonderful 4th of July weekend.